Well, greetings everyone, and welcome once again to another Friday night edition of And the Winners Are. I guess we'll open up the show tonight as we did last night with the bringing home of one Miss Brittany Griner. Congratulations are in order, and we're glad that the young lady is back home after 10 months of captivity in communist Russia. And I will wonder why he did not get it. So let's see if we can get this over the mic. Okay. Okay. We'll get that over to him, and okay. There you go. We'll get that over to Mike. Yes. Continuing my little diatribe, if you'd like to hear more of my opinion on the release of Miss Griner, you can check out our former podcast on the SPORTSKRIB, where I discussed it in quite some length with Mr. Bill Carroll and Mr. Anthony Scott. There's also a small diatribe there on the Kyrie Kanye situation also. Maybe a little controversial for some people, but it's just my opinion. And, I'm sure others have theirs. But we're going to start tonight talking about Primetime. And we were all wrong, including me and Mike on this show, because we discussed it here too, because I don't think that anyone thought, or at least no one within our little circle, thought that the Buffaloes were a big enough platform for prime time. But, given the fact that he does have a son that's going to be coming out of college soon, and when you look at the length of his contract and, some of the stipulations in his contract, I don't know whether you can consider this a long-term hire. And this kind of tells you the window that Dion has. Because if you look at the contract and the way that it's structured, you can almost guarantee that he's going to be there at least 3 years. And he's already gotten some talent. He's hired one of Nick Saban's coaches, his defensive back and special teams, I believe, coach. And he's also hired the former head coach of Kent State. And according to rumors, he might also be getting a running back from the portal from Alabama. So Dion has been already out there, and I'm sure that there's going to be a lot as soon as the portal opens. I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of interest in the Buffaloes. Good evening, Mike. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing very good. How about yourself, sir?
Oh, hey man, every day above ground is a good day. I'm great, so
Yes, sir.
I don't have to worry about that. So I was talking about Dion and how we had all left him down there at poor HBCU and talked about that this fish don't fry, and all of a sudden we got a fish fry, a clam bake, and everything else going on out here in Colorado. Uh, as I was saying, he's already hired one coach away from Nick Saban. There's a possibility that one of the running backs might enter the portal, and he's hired the former head coach of Kent State as his offensive coordinator. And if you look at the way his contract is structured for the buyout, he's going to be there at least 3 years. I mean, it just doesn't make sense for him not to be there 3 years. And 3 to 5 years is a good timeline where obviously he's on the fast track to get into the NFL. How do you see that and the moves made by Colorado? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's great. I just wish he was more a person of his word. I mean, he said that he's there, at the HBCUs to shine light and to bring players that are, wouldn't normally go there because the lower status of the football programs. And then what has it been? 2 years, and he's out.
5, isn't it? Isn't it 5? I thought he had a 5-year contract down
No,
there.
I'm talking about him being at
Yeah,
Jacksonville.
yeah. He's been at least 3.
3 years now.
Yeah, I think he's been there at least 3 because when he first took over the program, I think they only had 3 wins,
Okay, three's
something like
better than
that.
two.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought it was very important that he stayed at an HBCU longer than three, because no one looks at it. We talked about it. No one really looks at HBCUs since Robinson, and for him to jump ship like that, I just question his dedication to what he said why he was there.
But but like everything sounds good until they start putting the money in front of you.
Oh, sure, absolutely, yeah,
I mean, when you can go from making what $1.5 million to $5 million a
sure,
year. I mean, and he was donating a quarter of his salary while he was at Jackson State back to the program.
okay. I didn't
So
know about that. That's
yeah, I mean, so uh, I'm not saying that he's going to donate this, but I mean,
sure.
uh, I think a lot of people, and this was something that I actually learned from Bill, that he has a son that's playing quarterbacking, so the transition, maybe better, at Colorado. And then, as I said, he'll go, kind of like a LeBron thing, but on the down low.
Gotcha.
You I mean, uh, everything is full of conspiracy theories, but we do
Sure.
know, but we do know that he did get an increase in pay. That
Oh
we
yeah,
know. That we know for sure. Uh,
yeah. I don't think he would go to Colorado unless he was getting more money. But I think it's great. I mean, everybody wants to be with Dion, it seems, so he could pretty much have whoever he wants at almost a moment's notice. That says a lot about him and his character. Because if he was completely selfish or completely, just about himself, then no one would want to work with him. So
Did you see or watch any of the press conference that he had when he went
no,
into
I
college?
saw the only thing I really kind of saw was him with, I think it was the football players, and he
When
was
he
talking to football players.
yeah, where he told some of you won't be here.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think he's serious. I mean,
Hmm.
if nothing else, he's serious about football. We do know that. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
so, but Colorado, yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, but it is a program where he can put his own name on it, just like
Hmm.
in an HBCU. So
Sure.
we'll see. We'll
Sure.
see.
Especially if he makes turns around that program. Um, he very well could put, he could write his ticket anywhere he wants after that.
Well, I mean, what's going to be his biggest competition? Nebraska.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, it's not like he took the head job at Auburn or
Right.
UCLA. I mean, he still he took he took a job where if he makes it, great. But if he doesn't, it just goes back to being a mundane program, in a mundane conference.
True.
Yeah.
Nothing much to lose there. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. It's almost, one of, I don't want to say nothing ventured, nothing gained, but I mean, it is a very, it's a situation where he can recover if it's not as, uh, enterprising or it's not what we think it's going to be. Um, what did you think about the Dylan Johnson throwing shade on Mike Leach as he went to the transfer portal, saying he wasn't tough. Yeah, I mean you can tell it was a sarcastic remark.
Mark, right.
He wasn't tough enough for the program. So but do you think after talking about your former coach? And I think I think you probably know more than I do how much eligibility he has left. But uh, what do
I
you
think
think?
he's a junior.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that he'll be able to go to a title contender per se, or do you think he just burned a bridge? And I mean, the old boys society extends to a lot more than just politics.
Sure. Yeah. I I don't think he burned it to the ground. I think it definitely took notice, but I don't. I think in a week from now, nothing's gonna. People forget about it. It's not gonna be important. I think it is a question of what were you thinking? The last thing you want to do is question and throw shade on a coach, just like you wouldn't want to throw shade on your boss. You just don't do those type of things because people question your character. So I think that kind of question will be involved, but I don't think it wasn't slanderous or anything to that effect. So um it's probably just going to be under the bridge, under the water, or water under the bridge. I mean,
Okay. Notre Dame tight end Halloween. I mean Michael Myers. I'm sorry. Uh, uh, he won't play in the Gator Bowl because he's declaring for the draft. Will he be the first tight end off the board, off the big board?
yeah, I think so. He's just monstrous. He's a big body guy who knows how to frame himself, can keep defenders blocked off from reaching in, getting the ball. He has good hand size, good radius. Yeah, he could be special. He could be like as Travis Kelsey's exiting the door, he could be the one that's entering the door kind of situation. He's that good. We'll see. I mean, there's plenty of tight ends that come into the NFL, and you're like, this is a guy, and Evan Ingram's one of them. Kyle Pitts, maybe another that are seem very special, but just don't make it. But he has all the tools to do so.
Okay. All right. Um, could USC quarterback Caleb Williams lose the Heisman because of his fingernail tradition? Have you looked up and saw what he puts on his fingernails before every game?
Yeah, he likes to drop the f bomb. To me, if I'm voting, I don't care. I don't care what he writes on his fingernails. I don't care if he paints his fingernails. I don't care whatever he does with his fingernails. Choose them, whatever. I don't care. I want to know what he does on the field, and I've seen enough to say, yeah, if not the winner of the Heisman, then definitely a strong consideration for it. So, to me, I could care less what he writes and does with his fingernails.
Okay. Now, do you think that the Heisman would be more meaningful it, if it were presented after the national championship? Now, I'm not saying that the winner of the Heisman has to come from the national championship. He doesn't have to be the winner of the national championship team. What I'm saying is we're going to have the Heisman Trophy presented, next week? Correct? I think it's next
Yeah,
week.
yeah, somewhere
Okay.
around. Yeah.
The bowl games aren't played until January. Does it take some of the incentive away from the kid that's on the unbeaten team that's playing for the national championship, and he knows that the only thing that he can win is is a team trophy, because the only thing that sets him apart as a national winning quarterback is gone,
Hmm.
which would be the Heisman. So, like I said, I mean, just because I'm saying that it should be presented after the national championship game, I'm not limiting the national championship to be a part, to be the Heisman Trophy winner.
Right.
But
I,
but
I
but, but, but like this year, for instance, when you have Georgia and TCU, I mean, excuse me, Georgia and Michigan, both having undefeated quarterbacks. Now, I'm not saying that either one of those quarterbacks are better than Caleb Williams, but what I'm saying is here's two kids that's got a chance to play for the national championship team. One of them is going to be undefeated, possibly, and he has no chance of winning the Heisman, even though he has a better record. Now, maybe Caleb Williams is a better quarterback, and maybe he's a better Heisman candidate. I'm just saying, hold it off until after the national championship.
which is fine, but do you feel like the national championship can sway votes that shouldn't be there?
Well, no more than you can sway votes for a trophy winner before the season is actually over.
Right, and that's why I think all trophies should be at the end of the season if they're season-ending awards, right? Like whatever, rookie of the year. We'll get into that later, but those kind of things, right? Rookie of the year is seasonal award. It's not, how he does in the playoffs. I think. I don't know. I might be wrong. I don't know, but just the seasonal awards, and I think when someone has a great game in a playoff or in a championship, all of a sudden though that gets swayed, and it shouldn't be that way.
Well, the thing, another reason why I'm saying this is because I think it also leaves more positions open to the Heisman. I mean, right now it's either a quarterback club, and before that it was a running back club.
Right.
Charles Woodson, excuse me, Charles Woodson. I think is maybe have we had two defensive players win the Heisman Trophy, or just is it still just Charles?
It might be just Charles. I don't know. I haven't.
Yeah. That, that
Checked that.
that's what I'm saying. Maybe that defensive back that has a good national championship series. Maybe that linebacker that went unnoticed.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's all. I think it gives more impact to your actual performance if you can be seen on a national stage, whereas a lot of these kids are more known regionally when
Well,
they.
I don't have a problem with that. I think if they deserve it and they get that light shine upon them because of such, then that's a little different than getting being swayed by something that shouldn't be there. If that makes sense. Like
Yeah,
the JJ McCarthy shouldn't win the Heisman Trophy, but if he wins the national championship, then then all of a sudden it's like, oh, look, this guy, blah blah blah. But if he's sort of under the radar and has, it's just not getting the recognition, and then the playoffs help him get that recognition that he needs or deserves, then that's something completely different. In my belief. I agree with you on that situation. Yeah.
well, okay. I think this is the perfect situation. Of the four Heisman finalists, the kid from Georgia, what's his name, Stetson?
Stetson. Yeah.
He's a finalist. Do you think that he has had a better season than some of the other guys that we've talked about, all season? If he was not the quarterback for an undefeated Georgia football team, do you think he would be there?
Probably not.
See, so yeah, I mean, you kind of see what I'm saying,
Right.
and I understand what you're saying. Is it because is he there just because he's the quarterback of Georgia, not because of his talent? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I would rather have the trophies presented, as you say, at the end of the season. After let them let them do like we did in high school. Have a big banquet, and all the players.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. Yeah.
remember,
Exactly. Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
those days?
Oh yeah. I totally remember those days. Those were great times. Yeah. Celebrate the coach and yeah. Yeah. Those were good. Yeah.
Damn, I'm 50 years old. I'm still thinking about getting tingles. Jesus Christ. Okay. Okay. Another surprise. This the CFP agrees to disagree. There will be no expansion to 8 teams within the next 4 years.
Wow.
What's your thoughts on that? I mean, we thought it was a done deal. We'd
Seemed
have
like it.
12, but all of a sudden, and to me, this makes no sense when the conferences are getting bigger
Right.
and there's more money available. You know, uh, it would seem that you're missing out on on a bonanza.
Yeah.
You expand it to 8 these 4 years. The next 4 years, you put another four. You expand it to 12.
Yep.
And if you had these monster conferences by then, you expand it to 16.
There you go.
But what's your thoughts here?
I think financially, absolutely. The more bowl games that have playoff implications, the more revenue you're going to get, which is kind of surprising why they don't feel in 40 years that that's the right answer is to expand. As far as competition wise, no. I think 4 teams might be too much, actually. I don't think we've seen. Usually, when the team wins, the team is just far more dominant than any other team in college that season. So it hasn't really even been something exciting per se. I mean, playoffs are always exciting, but game competition hasn't been as much. So competition wise, it's shown that you shouldn't have more than 4 teams.
Yeah, but just think, 16-team playoff based on. I mean, we already have a format, the NCAA basketball. I mean, you could do it like that, like 4 teams from this east, west, north, south, you know, and
Sure.
then and you still get down to 4 teams. You go 16, 8, so. But like I said, either someone is, you know, killing the goose that's laying the golden eggs, or they don't realize they're gold. I'm not sure which it is. It would seem.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't. They have to have some kind of testing or some kind of sampling, because it's not the money that seems too logical for it to be. There's got to be some other reason why they're thinking this isn't it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, because at some point, it's going to be, as we've all said, these powerhouse conferences and the has-beens, the TCUs, I mean, not the TCUs, but I mean, the the Kansas teams, the Arizonas, the Boston colleges, the North Carolinas. I mean, they're uh, even if North Carolina or Vanderbilt or one of those would get into, say, an SEC type situation, or a Big Ten, they would still be the doormats. That's not going to make them better teams because because they're in a better conference.
Right.
Or do you think otherwise?
No, I agree with you. Just because, I mean, you could see it in the Big Ten, right? Just because you're in a powerhouse conference doesn't make you, um, you look at Nebraska. You brought up Nebraska. That's a great example. They're better than some, but not overall. Especially in the Big Ten, they're a doormat.
Yeah, yeah, so those, and where are they going to be once you get USC and UCLA in there? You
Exactly.
so
They're even going to be even more of a doormat.
right. So but they get a good slice of the pie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Big Ten by your name.
Yeah. Okay. So the final four have been named. I want you to kind of preview the game for me, okay?
Sure.
So, number 1 Georgia versus number 4 Ohio State. Will it take divine intervention for Ohio State to make it to the title game?
Yes. Yes. I think they were they showed up against a Michigan's defense that's not as strong as Georgia's defense and got slaughtered. Now, different team, different date doesn't mean that they're going to get slaughtered again. But
They played good for 3.5 quarters. Now, come on, we did pretty good for 3.5.
yeah, but where was that offense? That offensive speciality that's Ohio State. They just none.
Wide receiver, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness, yes. They got probably the best wide receiver in football who can't declare for the NFL draft because he's only a sophomore, and Marvin Harrison Jr. Yeah, they're a great offense. Now, if they can contain Georgia, then yes, they can. They can definitely, that offense can put some points on the board, but I don't know what I saw against Michigan. Not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't. Even though this Georgia defense is not as stout as the one last year, at least in my opinion.
Right? No, I agree.
Yeah, I don't see a substantial running game like we had at the first of the year, and not only that, can we stop the damn run?
Yeah, yeah, too big against Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of things that you have to fix. This is not like the pros where you can go out and fill up that hole, fill up that hole. I mean, but you know maybe you know he'll get that old Newt Rodney speech and it'll
There you
go.
go. Yeah.
You know,
Win-win for the
uh,
giver.
there you go. Okay, number two Michigan versus number three TCU. Now TCU similar to Ohio State. Now I guess everyone thought that that first game with Kansas State wasn't you know I guess you know an admonition or whatever you want to call it, but it seems to me like they came back with and they what TCU lost in with overtime. Was it overtime that TCU lost in?
I think it was overtime.
Yeah. So it's not a matter of the O anymore, but who do you think wins this game? And what do you think about TCU's quarterback? I mean, how come he wasn't invited?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have to see TCU's quarterback. I'm not as good as Bill. Um, I'm sure. I'm sure Bill was like, oh, blah 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 blah. That
Yeah,
and
yeah,
gave the middle name as well.
yeah.
Let's see here. Max Duggan. Yeah, I'm not familiar with him.
I think we talked about it when we were talking about whether or not he was going to be professional material. Uh, but he was way down the line. I mean, we had talked about what the Hooper kid even ahead of him. You know,
Oh wow. Okay.
but but once again, you have a kid here that's led his team, and he only has one loss, and you have USC that has two losses, and the second one was a convincing loss. It wasn't like it was, it wasn't like it was just a squeaker at the end. I mean, it was a beatdown. It was almost as bad as it was as bad as the Ohio State beatdown. Uh,
Yep.
so what do you think? What's going on here? I know what your heart says.
Yeah, my heart definitely says
Yeah,
Michigan.
yeah. I know what your heart says. Now, put on that football guru hat and tell me what I should be looking at.
Yeah, I think that well you definitely have Michigan's defense many people are saying is better than they were last year. I agree. Uh, uh, you have to be pretty good to hold Ohio State down. So it's just whether it's going to be clicking on the offensive end for Michigan and mistakes being held down to a minimum. Their offense is okay. They definitely are hurting without their running back. They have Donovan Edwards there, but he's young. He's only a sophomore. And Blake Corum is definitely has a big hole without him. But yeah, I just think that if Michigan can limit their mistakes and just be a level-headed offense, they should win this game based on how good their defense is.
Okay, now we had a discussion last night, and if you're not comfortable with it, that's fine. But what were your thoughts on the release of Brittany Griner?
Oh, Brandon Gar- Um, I think what she did was pretty stupid, but I don't like having anybody that is an American over being held by any other foreign nation. So I'm happy she was released, but she's got to be smarter, you know, and not do what she did, regardless of the minimal amount of what she was caught with or whatever. You got to understand laws of other lands, so it was a dumb move, but B, I'm happy she's home.
Yeah, I mean, I live here in San Diego, less than 12 miles from the border, but even though weed is legal here in California, I'm not taking weed to Tijuana.
Right, exactly.
I
Yeah,
mean, so,
exactly. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, seriously, you know, uh, maybe it's just me, but like I was telling the audience, I had a lot more to say on the sports crib last night. So if there may be those that do not agree, but if you want to know my true feelings, check into the sports crib. I won't repeat them tonight. So let's go on to the NFL here. Uh, so Deshaun Watson is back, but the Clowns quarterback, he looked more like a $2.30 quarterback instead of 230 million.
Yes, he did.
Uh, and his response to reporters on the rust was, "When it clicks, it clicks."
When it
Dude, I
clicked.
just gave you 230 guaranteed goddamn dollars. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Look,
Wow.
personally, I thought it was a little flippant, but what's your thoughts?
Um, it on paper, it sounds. I didn't hear his. To be fair, I didn't hear his response. His tone of voice and what he meant or what he was trying to convey. But yeah, I can see this being flippant. I mean, when it clicks, it clicks. What are you talking about? Like, I mean, you're a veteran, and as you mentioned, you got 230 million, and your response is, eh, it, when it gets there, it will happen, and maybe one day I'll earn it. I don't know. When it clicks, it clicks.
Yeah, I mean, you've been out of football for almost 2 years. I mean, just say, hey, man, like, I've been out of football, but da 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 da. I mean, even though I've been able to practice, it's not like the real thing. But I mean,
Yeah,
you know, kind of sounds like something that Aaron Rod, he might as well have said, "Relax."
yeah, exactly. That would have been more appropriate. Hey, you
Yeah.
know, I like you mentioned, I haven't been in a game in 2.5 years. I will get there. It just going to take some repetitions, and I will get there. Not whatever. I mean, this guy. Jesus. Did you see his one pass where he hit the shoes of his receivers and it tripped them? I was laughing my ass off.
I mean, you know, like I said, $2.30.
Pretty
It's
much.
like, I could have got one of these guys out here that what's the golf that they play with the uh um it's some kind of golf they play, and they throw the what is it
Oh, I
called?
know what you're talking about. Frisbee golf.
Yeah, the frisbee golf. Yeah, I mean, it's like that's what some of the passes look like. It's like, dude, what did this?
Like,
you know,
wow.
you know, let, let me bring this little kid over here from the beach and let him show you how to throw that. But
Yeah.
anyway, you know. Um, so Skip's number 11 from heaven, the Cowboys, Micah Parsons. He gets all the publicity. You hear about him, you see him all over TV. But do you think that the 49ers, 97 Nick Bosa, might end up with the Defensive Player of the Year?
I think it's close. Neither two of these guys are my favorite peoples, but um, I think they're both well deserving of it for sure. Yeah, it would come down to either one of those guys.
Now, how much? of this depends on how far they go in the playoffs.
Um, I think and what they do in the playoffs too, will count for sure. I think you can factor in both of those elements: how well they do and how far they go.
Does that give does that give Micah Parsons the edge, having the steadier quarterback? And I mean, right now,
Yeah, who's the
you know,
quarterback for the 49ers? I don't know
well,
how
Brock
far the
Brock
49ers are
Brock
going to do.
Purdy.
Yeah, exactly.
We know for sure it's not Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, uh,
Um, yeah, I think that you can definitely put the edge on the Cowboys just because of that reason um, alone. Is you have Dak Prescott in one corner and Brock Purdy in the other. So we know who Dak Prescott is. We certainly don't know what Brock Purdy can do. I mean, he had a solid game, but he came in for relief for Jimmy Garoppolo. And we'll see. I'll give him 3 weeks, and then we'll see what happens at the end of those 3 weeks. And
but I also think that you have to give Brock Purdy the advantage when it comes to weapons.
yes, for sure.
You know,
Oh, for
so
sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Without a
you know,
doubt.
I mean, basically, all he has to do is manage the game.
Yep. Hand the
I mean,
ball off to Debo and
yeah,
Christian McCaffrey, and
yeah, and the ball off to McCaffrey. Give it to Debo on the RPO. And then if not, you throw it to Ayuk or Kittle.
Kittle. Yep.
you know, and I mean, so advantage, and they both had I mean, we're talking about them being defensive players of the year, so evidently we're both considering that they both have staunch defenses. So
Hmm.
you know,
That
uh,
helps too.
yeah,
And you're
yeah.
out there by yourself in a poor defense. You're probably not going to be doing very well.
Advantage defense advantage front end to Dallas, advantage back end to the 49ers. So I think.
Hmm. I agree.
Von Miller has season-ending surgery. How much impact do you think that this is going to have on the Bills' chances of making it to the Super Bowl?
I think yeah, quite a bit. They've been hurt on the defense anyways. They've been in and out of players. Now Von Miller's definitely out for the season, and not only is he a very good defensive outside linebacker, but he's also a team leader, someone that is an inspiration. And yeah, that alone is hard to overcome. So it's going to be a very difficult road for them.
Yeah. um, Had the Jags stunted the growth of first-round pick Travon Walker by misusing his talents this season, or do you think that they've used him properly?
He's doing pretty well. I don't think he's shined as a number one pick per se.
Well,
But
we all knew he was a project.
yeah,
To be. I mean, he didn't come in Hutchinson, you know,
right.
but
Yeah.
but when I mean, do you think that maybe they could find more ways to get him involved than they have this year?
I think it depends on. I don't know their team statistics, so like if they're low on sacks, then maybe they could move him more towards the outside linebacker, defensive end kind of role to get him, involved in pass rushing or tackles because he could play all around. Tackles maybe more at middle linebacker, that kind of thing. So I don't want to speak because I haven't really watched him as far as how they're doing and using him, but I do know he's not having a rookie of the year kind of season, but he's not like Isaiah Simmons out there, where it's even worse.
Yeah, and I mean, well, we're going to talk about that about the rookies of the year. So I'll kind of leave that till we get down to that discussion. Uh okay. Now, I think there should be mandatory drug testing for the entire staff of voters for Pro Football Focus. Now, Pro Football Focus has the Saints' Andy Dalton at number 6, while ranking Jared Goff as low as 18 and the lower 20s. Now, Goff says he's playing the best football of his career. Have the Lions and Goff become the Don Rickles of the NFL? I mean, hey, well, the Lions. I don't know whether you noticed the Lions this week or not, but the Vikings are only a 0.5 favorite to beat the Lions at the Lions this week.
Wow.
That's what Vegas says.
Wow.
So what do you think? I mean, it was funny because I was talking to Mr. Scott last night, and I told him I wish I could play back some of the things that he was saying about the Lions at the beginning of the season.
I remember those things he was saying about the Lions. We're not good positive things, that's for sure. So yeah, I do. What do you mean by Don Rickles of the NFL?
Get no respect.
That's not Don Rickles. That's what's his name? I can't think of his name right now.
I thought that was Don.
Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah, Rodney. That's right. I'm sorry. I've got the wrong guy there, but okay. Rodney Dangerfield. Sorry about that.
And that's okay. Yeah, no, I agree. I think a lot of people look at them as the same old sorry Lions. And they haven't been, not for the last 5 or 6 weeks. They've been a good football team. And as you pointed out, they're only a game and a half underdogs to a team that's 9-3, 9-4, something to that effect. No, I don't think they've had 13 games. Or 8-4, or whatever they are. But
10-2. What are the Vikings?
That's a good question. I know I think they've lost 3 games. I think. So whatever.
I don't think they've lost 3 yet. Let me see. I'm looking them up now. Here, where are the Vikings? Oh, here they go. Okay. The Vikings are 10-2. I didn't think they lost 3. Yeah, they lost to the Eagles week 2, and they lost to the Cowboys 3 weeks ago.
Wow, so some very quality opponents to that effect. So the Vikings are a really good team, and
let's see, their next games are the Lions, then your Colts, then the Giants, the Packers, and they end up with the Bears. But they have, let's see, 1, 2, 3. 3 of the next 5 games are with league opponents: the Lions, the Packers, and the Bears.
Wow, they're sort of doing what the Colts did early in the season. Colts first 6 games were all divisional opponents. It was weird. But yeah, I think they definitely are not getting the respect that they deserve. And if they beat the Vikings, then look out. They're really are a quality football team. I would not want to play them in the playoffs.
Demetrius said, 3 to 5? It's been a little less. This is the second year, so
yeah. I put them as a playoff team this year. I looked pretty foolish the first 8 games or whatever it was, but That prediction is I'm feeling pretty good about now.
Okay. The Vikings hire the first NFL GM that has actually been an analytics staffer. Now, Adolfo Mensa made 3 trades, starting with his trade down in round number 1 that got the Lions wide receiver Jameson Williams, and he'll probably start this Sunday against the Vikings. And then he moved down to let the Packers uh, acquire Christian Watson, who's caught 8 touchdowns in the last 4 games. And they meet in week 17 at Lambeau. Now, at the trade deadline, he picked up Hawk TJ from the Lions for 2 picks in 23 and one in 24. How do you grade what Mensa has done so far?
Yeah, I think it's done pretty well. They when it I don't know when they hired him.
At the beginning of this year,
Oh wow,
he's. I think he's their new GM. If he's not, if it wasn't this year, it was last year. But according to this, he's the first analytics, like I said, staffer. And if he made the first trade with Williams,
right,
then evidently he was their new GM.
right, exactly. Um, yeah, I think he's. I mean, when you can get make those trades and finally get a tight end that the team desperately needs for one that they haven't had in I don't know how long. And then also move and get other pieces of the pie. Then yeah, I think he's done pretty well. We'll see how Jamison Williams turns out, but looks like he's doing pretty solid. Sometimes these analytics guys, it's almost like boom or bust. They either are right on with it and know how to read it and do well, or they just completely fall apart. And looks like Menta is doing well.
Well, Mensa said as an analytics guy, he's playing for the long term. He's not playing for the short term. So, if those picks, help those particular teams right now, when these guys, fall off, then he's expecting his guys to reach,
To mature.
to mature. But I was a little surprised about at Watson and how he's turned out. Uh, Williams, I guess I'll find out, whether or not he's the real thing or not.
Yeah.
He came with good credentials, but we'll see. Uh, but I don't know about you, but I was never that good in math at school. But the one thing that I found out is that the people that usually were good in math were usually pretty good. And they weren't wrong in their particular field. I don't know if analytics deals with emotions or not, but as far as pure statistics, uh, I don't know. I guess Ryan Leaf. I mean,
That was definitely yeah. Let's hope that was an analytics because yikes.
hey, but hey, pure looks and pure numbers. Hey, you know, it was what it was.
You're very much true. Yeah, it definitely was what it was. I'm glad the Colts made the right decision because they very well could have not.
The Falcons announced that rookie quarterback Desmond Ritter is going to be the quarterback after the bye week. Now, I thought this was a done deal. I mean, I thought, we saw Ritter earlier when Mariota got hurt. So, I mean, no one thought that Mariota was the answer going forward.
Right.
So, every opponent, in the Falcons' schedule uh, has at least playoff potential. None of them have been knocked out of the playoffs per se. The Falcons, let's see, I think the next four games are, uh, let's see, where are the Falcons? Their games after the bye week are, let's see, they play the Saints, then the Ravens, then the Cardinals, and they finish off with the Bucks. So the young man is definitely going. So he's definitely going through a trial by fire. As I said, every opponent has playoff implications. Even the Saints, as of now.
Right.
So, what do you think? Uh, we're talking about Desmond here. Do you think that Desmond, I mean that Ritter, well Desmond, of the Falcons, is in a kind of Kenny Pickett situation?
Kenny Pickett situation as in far as what?
Well, Kenny Pickett. You know he's not going to play, but you got Trubinsky there in the background just in case something happens. You don't really have a really qualified backup if something would happen to uh, Ken to Pickett.
Right.
Same thing to me with Ritter.
Mhm.
Mariota's there, but you don't. I mean, you don't really want to go back to Mariota.
No, they're not going
But
to go back to Mariota.
yeah, so I mean, but if Pickett would get hurt or if Ritter would get hurt, there would be no choice but to go back to to those veterans, even though you know that they're not going to start and they have no influence on next season.
Right.
So that's what I said to you. I mean, you know, they're both to me in situations where it's possible for the team to draft another quarterback,
Yes.
but it's highly unlikely.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I think they're going to give Pickett a couple of years, and then they're going to give Ritter a couple of years and see how it pans out, and then decide on whether they go for a different quarterback or not. We'll see about Ritter. I don't know. To me, like I said before the draft, that all of these quarterbacks are to look like backups to me in the long term. And so Pickett had a good game against the Colts. I don't know how he fared last week, but
We won again.
so maybe he's getting better. Maybe he is a starter.
We,
I don't
this
know.
week is a test. We're playing the Ravens, but we're playing them without Lamar Jackson. So yeah.
Well, Tyler Huntley's not no slouch either. So
Well, don't worry. I'm going to be asking you about that a little bit later when it comes to fantasy. Start him and sit him. I'm going to be asking you about him.
But
So,
I do agree that both trajectories, Kenny Pickett's and Desmond Ritter's, are probably looking the same. I would say that they're on the same plane. Yeah.
um, speaking of that, uh, I think it's also known that you're not going to stick uh, another year with Matty Ice.
No, no.
But yet and still, when you guys made without if it hadn't been for Saturday uh, coming back, then you would probably be playing your rookie quarterback either too. So does this mean that Saturday is looking for another quarterback, or I mean, what's your future situation there?
Well, we either need to draft an offensive lineman, either a tackle or guard, left tackle or left guard, or both, or we go and try to get the best quarterback available. Whether that's like Will Levis or Anthony Richardson or someone to that effect. But that's what we're looking at now. I don't. Yeah, Nick Foles or Sam Ellinger is not going to be the starting quarterback there at all. I mean, they didn't even give Nick Foles a chance. They were like, no, let's go to Sam Ellinger and see what he has for 2 games, and then Jeff Saturday took over, and he said, no, we're not going with Sam Ellinger. We're going back to Matt Ryan.
So, hey, like I said, I'm not sure what's going on here. Titans coach Mike Vrabel recently said that he could only coach the players that he was given. Do you think his remark contributed to the firing of GM John Robinson? And now that Robinson's fired, do you think that the pressure to switch, the pressure for Vrabel to advance the Titans to the playoffs has increased?
Yeah, might have been when someone says, "Hey, I can only do what I can do with the players I have," and the GM is responsible for the players that he has. Um, yeah, in some way that very well could have been situation. I'm kind of surprised. I mean, normally teams that are in first place in their division and been in the playoffs, I don't know how many years in a row now, are all of a sudden fired. That was very strange. Also, according to Vrabel, it had nothing to do with him,
Yeah,
but
right.
fact that they didn't like each other. So I don't know. I really it's a very strange situation. I mean, if there's no way in the world, even if I didn't like someone, that I would fire them if I was the owner. If I'm winning, I'm like, so I don't know. I don't know. Not liking someone doesn't seem like the answer to anything.
And especially when you have to buy them out.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. Yeah,
Yeah, it's not like you can say you're fired and then you don't have to pay them.
pay him right now. You have to pay 2 people.
Right. So, you Rams picked up Baker off the waiver wire, as we saw, and Baker did a Tom Brady, exact same score, 17-16. Uh, Two-part question. Number one, do you think that is this Baker's last ride? And number two, every coach that Baker has had has been fired. Do you think McVay will be doing Amazon Prime next year?
I yeah,
And I'm not saying that he's fired, but what I'm saying is, you know, is it much easier to be an analyst on Amazon Prime than deal with the headache that Baker Mayfield is?
especially headaches that he applies on himself. I don't know if you saw him headbutt the one player
Yeah,
with the helmet
yeah,
on.
it is.
But yeah, it was a great drive down the field in the last whatever it was 90 seconds or so whatever it was to win the game. But for the most part, Mayfield was pretty shaky. Was pretty much Baker Mayfield. I I don't. This was a great redemption kind of thing situation for Mayfield, but I don't think it's gonna last. So yeah, wasn't McVay even talking about retiring before this season? I think.
Right. That's why Amazon Prime had offered him the job.
Oh, I didn't even know they offered it to him.
Yeah, I mean, all he had to do was, like suit up and go up in the booth.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. I thought you were just sort of being facetious.
No, no, that's what I did.
Uh, yeah, no, it very well could be because this team isn't going anywhere. I mean, not for a while. So, it very well could be a situation for him. Yes.
Next man up, Cinderfella, Mr. Irrelevant, last
Yeah.
man taken in the draft.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden he's a cog in the 49ers playoff hopes.
Yep.
If Brock Purdy has a pretty good year, meaning 3-2 in the last 5, do you keep him as your starter if Jimmy Porn becomes available?
No. I think they look at him as their starter. But they also look at what other options are available for them.
I mean, come on. Now, the kid wins 6 games in a row and gets you to the playoffs.
But he's cheap, though. You don't have to keep him because
Yeah,
of
but
his contract.
you hit on the thing there. He's cheap. You
Yeah,
can you don't have to give him the Deshaun Watson money. You don't have to give him uh, 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 you know Josh Allen money. You still got him cheap for another 2 or 3 years.
and then the question becomes: is he good enough to be that for 2 and 3 years?
Well, you got Trey Lance that's still there. They haven't done
Yeah,
nothing with Trey Lance,
yeah, that's
and
true.
Trey Lance was supposed to be their starter.
It's supposed
So
to be.
Trey, yeah, I mean, their future, as they put it, is still there. Trey Lance hasn't gone anywhere. They're not, and chances are they're not going to trade him. They got Jimmy G very cheap. What on 2 year was it a 2 year contract?
I think
Yeah.
this is last year, unless they
Okay.
re-signed him to something that I'm not
Was it
aware
was
of.
it a one? Was it okay? If it was a 1 year contract, which makes it even better, so you don't have to worry about Jimmy G. And there's, I mean, he could be a Colt too. He's
He
better
could be.
than he's better than what you got.
He
Just,
is
I
better than what we got. There's
mean,
no doubt about it. I wanted Jimmy G this year. I did. I was like, I hope he comes to Indianapolis, and then Matt Ryan fell in our laps, and we're like, yeehaw, let's go, saddle up. And then we're like,
yeah,
no, let's
yeah, yeah.
look at this guy.
When I find Mr. Scott's tape, I'm going to find that your tape too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was excited I was on Matt Ryan. I was too.
uh, do you keep Jimmy Porn or what?
Um,
No,
I
just to get, let's see. Okay, their last 5 games, because I think they had one of the tougher schedules. Okay, let's see. Their last 5 games are Tampa Bay, Seattle, Washington, Vegas, and Arizona. All of these teams we were expecting to be much better at the beginning of the year, especially Tampa Bay, Vegas, and Arizona. But they finish up in Arizona. That's the
it
last.
could be had. It very well could be had for him with those teams.
Yeah, he's got the win over Miami. So if he's going up against Tom Brady this week, uh, and we don't know the status of Geno Smith, so we'll see how that works out. Um, okay, um, the Eagles stayed pat at wide receiver despite the availability of OBJ. And Jerry Jones, he kind of visited the Waffle House after OBJ's visit. Do you think that OBJ gets a multi-year contract this season? I just saw a thing where he says that uh, he only wants to come back for the playoffs. He doesn't
Playoffs,
think
right?
that uh, a regular season game is relevant. But just like we were talking about Deshaun Watson completing passes to the cleats. Uh, you know, do you think that he's going to come? Here's another one. He hasn't played since Super Bowl last year. All of a sudden, he's going to come back and I know he's a precise route runner and all that, but it's still not the speed of the game.
Yeah, yeah. No, I honestly think that he's going to do exactly what he said. Playoff. I'll be a playoff player. Because I that's probably the best way for him to get a better look, help the team, help himself. I mean, this is all about OBJ, and being in the highlights of things. If he's during regular season and he doesn't perform as well as he would when the lights are on, then he's not going to get a pathway to a larger contract. But everybody turns it up a notch during playoffs. So if he's there during that time, regardless of what he does, then he's going to have more opportunity to sign for more money. So I think it's definitely about the playoffs for him.
I just don't see a team taking that kind of chance. You sign to a contract and he plays, you know, a half for you in the playoffs, and he gets hurt because he's not in the proper shape. I mean, hey, maybe it's just me and the fact that I go to physical therapy and I'm wondering why I can't get in shape. I know, like, I don't know. I know when your body is accustomed to doing certain things by repetition, when you lose that repetition, what muscle memory you call
Muscle
it, I
memory,
believe.
sure. Hmm.
You know, I mean, just but maybe that's just me. Okay, if you had a vote tonight, who would be your offensive rookie of the year and your defensive rookie of the year?
Offensive rookie of the year would be Kenny Walker. It very well could have been Pre-Sol till he got injured, but I think it's definitely
Walker's hurt now too, right?
I'm sorry.
Walker's hurt now too,
Yeah,
right?
he is a little banged up. They don't know if he's going to play this week. So
I
yeah,
still have it listed as questionable.
yeah, I think questionable is his tag. But Brees Hall is tore his ACL. He looked really dynamic until that happened. Um, and then as far as defensive rookie of the year, I'm going to go with my Michigan guy and go Aiden Hutchinson.
Okay, yeah, I don't think there would be any. I mean, no, there'd be arguments, but I mean, you could certainly include everybody would definitely have him. I believe in the top three.
Yeah, some I think Sauce Gardner has the Vegas odds, but
Yeah, so Sauce is ranked number one. Hutchinson is two or three in most cases. Uh, but we'll see. You know, uh, Affinity Sauce, having played defensive back, so
mhm.
hey, you know, a lot of you guys might not know how hard it is to run fast backwards, but just think about it. Anyway,
Yeah, no doubt. And not only that, but not know exactly where the wide receiver is going and what direction he's going to turn and when he's going to turn. And
yeah, but see, back in my day, I could just knock his ass down.
yeah, or just throw him to the ground and not have to worry about it.
Like they say, you can't hit what you can't see. So if you can't
That's
see
true.
that, if you can't see that wide receiver going across the middle, you can't hit him. But anyway, okay. Predictions. The Jets get 9.5 versus the Bills.
Uh, yeah, if not more. The Bills. Well, I think it'll be actually less with Von Miller out. So I'm going to go the under.
The Clowns getting 6.5 at the Bungles.
Yeah, until Deshaun Watson can actually do something on the football field, then yeah, it sounds about right.
The Texans getting 17.5 at the Cowboys.
Wow, holy hell! I think that's the biggest spread all year. I'm gonna have to go the under on this one. That's way too big of a spread for me.
Let's see. The Vikings, as I said,
Point.
0.5 favorites over the Lions. Lions at home.
I think this will be the over.
Believe it or not, Mr. Scott picked the Lions.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised by that. But I'm I think the Lions have an excellent shot in winning this game.
The Jaguars getting 3.5 playing the Titans.
Uh, yeah, I think Titans will win this by a little bit more, so I'll go with the over.
The Eagles giving the Giants 7.5 at the Giants.
I'm gonna go the under on this game.
Okay. The Ratbirds giving my Steelers 2.5 at the Steelers.
Can they make it 3 in a row? Um,
I
they.
think we have 3 in a row, don't we? I think we do.
Oh, is it? Or
Can
can
we
they
make
make
it
it
four? Can we make it 4 in a row? But
4
I
in a
think
row?
let me see. I'm pretty sure that we're at 3 because I still haven't washed my goddamn jersey. Let me see. No, let's see. Uh, yeah. Well, no, we've won 3 of our last 4.
Nice.
We beat the Saints. We lost to the Bengals. We beat the Colts, and last week we beat the Falcons. This week we play the Ravens. Then we play the Panthers, the Raiders, the Ravens again, and we finish up at the Clowns.
Wow, they can make a really nice run out of this. I'm gonna go with them beating the Ratbirds. Yes, I am.
We are 5-7.
You guys could be what, like, you guys could almost start
I,
talking playoffs opportunity.
I said I said a good season for me would be either 8-9 or 7-10. So I think I'm going to be pretty close here. I'm not mad considering the competition and considering what we've had to go through, considering the fact that just more fallout from the fact that we didn't get rid of Big Ben 2 goddamn years earlier. But that's something that I will always carry. Anyway, okay. The Chiefs giving 8.5 to the Ponies, aka the Broncos.
uh, can they even score that many points over them? I don't think so. I think 5. So I'm gonna go the under.
You think that the Chiefs aren't going to cover?
Yeah, I just don't think the dead defense always keeps team within like field goal range. So yeah, I think it would be under 8.5. I would think more like 5.5.
Okay. The Bucks giving 3.5 to the 49ers
Yeah,
at at the 49ers.
this will be test number 1
Brock
for
Purdy against the GOAT.
yeah, yeah. This will be a very good test. Yeah, I think 49ers win this by a field goal. That makes sense. So I'll say yeah, that's a good push. Or not a push, but yeah, I would take the points, 3.5 points.
I think the 49ers sacked Tom Brady at least 4 times.
Yeah, I think they're very well could sack him that many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Joey Bosa and this defense, and I think that they'll keep Tom off his spot enough. And I like the 49ers in this one. I'll give up the 3.5. The Panthers again plus 3.5 at the Seahawks. They're
I'm
getting
gonna
3.5 rather than giving.
I'm gonna go the over for the Seahawks here.
Okay. Uh, the fans versus the 6-volt batteries. I mean the Chargers. I'm sorry.
I like that. Um, the Finns got like destroyed against the 49ers. I think it'll be close. Yeah. I'll take the points.
Yeah, the back end that Charger defense is pretty banged up, and I don't know. I can see Waddle and what's his name having a field day here.
Yeah, just
So
blowing them up.
yeah,
Very well could happen.
and Mozart coming out of the backfield. Uh, you know. Okay, Monday night, the Patriots getting 2.5 at the Cardinals.
Let's see here. 2.5 at the Cards. I think they'll win by even more than that. Their offense isn't all that great, so it's not going to be a blowout. But I could see them winning by 5.
Okay. All right. Start him or sit him. Here we go. Jets quarterback Mike White against the Bills.
Uh, Start him. Might as well. I mean, he's been really good.
Deshaun Watson against the Bungles.
Yes, sit him.
Jared Goff against the Vikings.
Start him up.
Trevor Lawrence against the Titans.
That pass defense is pretty bad. I could see Trevor Lawrence finishing around QB 12. So yeah, I'd say start.
Tannehill against the Jaguars.
Sit.
Daniel Jones against the Eagles.
You could sit him too.
Kenny Pickett against the Ratbirds.
Sit.
Tyler Huntley against the Steelers.
I think you could start him just based on his running ability. So I say go ahead and start him.
Okay. The Ponies, Russell Wilson against the Chiefs.
Yeah, you could sit him.
Brock Purdy against the Bucks.
Another sit. Yeah.
Sam Darnold against the Seahawks.
Sit.
Mac Jones against the Cardinals.
He should be a top 12 somewhere around that, but Mac Jones is just bad. So yeah, I have to sit him.
All right, let's see. Let's see how you feel about some running backs there. Okay. Jets running back James Robinson against the Bills.
You could sit.
Damian Pierce against the Cowboys.
That's another sit.
ATN against the Titans.
You could start.
Najee Harris against the Ratbirds.
Yeah, I hopefully he's in the top 24.
Gus Edwards against the Steelers.
I think you could sit him.
Latavius Murray against the Chiefs.
Yeah, you can. Will he get a touchdown? Because you'll need to. I'm gonna say sit.
Paco against the Bucks. I mean the Broncos. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's another tough one. Yeah, he should finish in the top 24 somewhere.
Fournette against the 49ers.
Yeah, he should finish top 24, so you can start.
Foreman against the Seahawks.
Foreman versus Seahawks. Yeah, you could. I don't know how banged up he is. So just I think that's worth monitoring if he's going to actually be there or what's going on with him. But if he plays, then yeah, you could start him.
Tony Jones Jr. against the Panthers, since he seems to be the only running back healthy for the Seahawks.
Yeah. If that's so, then you could probably play him.
Mozart against the Chargers.
Yeah, you could start Mostert.
Connor against the Pats.
Yeah, I think you could start Connor.
Stevenson against the Cardinals.
Another start. Yep.
Okie doke. Let's see. We are down to wide receivers. All right. Elijah Moore against the Bills.
Elijah Moore. Yes. Hopefully. I mean, he seems better with Mike White, so I'm gonna continue to work with him.
Brandon Cooks against the Cowboys.
No, unfortunately.
Michael Gallup against the Texans.
No, can't start him.
No, even after last week.
I mean, he had 2 touchdowns, but it's yeah.
Where's the threat from the Texan secondary? Where's the pass rush?
Against the Cowboys?
Yeah.
Cowboys have a great defense.
No, 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 no. That's what I'm saying. When I'm
Oh,
talking
Gallup.
about,
Yeah,
yeah,
Gallup against Texans. Yeah, still. He's
and
there's
and
no
and
really
and,
threat.
and can you really? I mean, Schultz is not, you know, a household word like he was before. So you can't. I'm trying to think who is going to be your number two receiver.
Well, that's the thing. Michael Gallup will be the two receiver, but they just don't go to him enough to. I mean, outside of last week, he had a great game. There's no doubt about it. But he's just not been consistent. Yeah, and you make a good point. The Texans, he should obliterate the Texans because the
Yeah,
Texans
it should
are.
be it should be a rerun. I mean, once he gets down to viable competition, but against the Texans, this should almost be a replay of last week. I don't think they're going to score 33 and a quarter, but I mean,
Right, right,
as far as the score,
right.
it should look about pretty much the same.
Okay.
Well, no, no, I'm just I'm just making my case, but you
No, no,
already said,
you're making a
but you.
great case. I'm not gonna change my mind, but I do think that what you're saying is valid. I'm not so I
Okay.
can't I'm not gonna disagree with what you're saying. I just don't think that Michael Gallup has shown enough to be consistent enough to perform in back to back weeks.
Okay. James Woods against the Jaguars.
You mean Robert Woods?
Yeah.
That would be interesting if the reactor was out there. Might have to hit him, especially being James Woods. That guy is crazy as hell. But Robert Woods against another guy that I have to say it.
um, uh, this guy is kind of perplexing to me because I like him and he plays with a hell of a team, but I don't know. Maybe it's because the fact that Justin has to run so much, or that they depend upon him. But what did you think about Devontae Smith against the Giants?
Yeah, he is sort of the again talking another second banana against that's AJ Brown. Um, that Giants defense, especially the secondary, is pretty good. I don't. It'll be close, but I don't see him finishing in the top 24. Um, maybe though. It's close. I mean, like, should you play him? Yes. If but don't. He might not reach 24, top 24, but he's definitely worth starting.
And another reason is I'm thinking of the double teams that's going to go to AJ, and
Yeah.
so uh, AJ will probably get his. I'm thinking in the second half, and then the first half they'll probably rely on Devontae, but we'll see. Um, Radbird's wide receiver Devin Duvernay against the Steelers.
No, he's just more of a long distance threat, which is something that Steelers have struggles with. But there's just too much risk to say he's worth starting.
Pickens against the Radbirds.
He should, just because I'm hoping that Kenny Pickett continues to pick on Pickens and have a Pickens. But Pickens should finish in the top 24.
See, it looked like last week Pickens was going to take Pickett behind the woodshed. Like, like you better throw me that goddamn ball.
Sometimes that's
uh,
all that's needed too.
uh, uh, Kendall Hilton against the Chiefs.
No, you can sit him.
Valdez Scantling against the Ponies.
Nah, you can sit him too.
DJ Moore against the Seahawks.
Yeah, you can start DJ.
Devontae Parker against the Cardinals.
No, not Devontae.
Okay. I got a couple of tight ends I'm going to ask you about right quick, and if you see any more, we'll talk about them. But Tyler Conklin against the Bills.
Yeah, I think you start Conklin.
Dawson Knox against the Jets.
No, he's fallen off too much.
Austin Hooper against the Jaguars.
Yeah, I think we can start Hooper. He's starting to pick it up a little bit.
Firemuth against the Redbirds.
Yeah, I like Firemuth.
I like him too. He just hasn't had enough goddamn production. But I like him. He's a Steeler. Okay. What do you got for us working off the waiver wire here? A lot of guys hurt. As you see, I got some guys on here that we wouldn't normally be talking about. Hilton, Duvernay, Scanling. Usually these are guys that are kind of second bananas, but because of injuries and whether it be to the quarterback, offensive line, these guys are now relevant. So,
Yeah.
who do you see coming off the waiver wire that you've seen that we might want to pick up?
I like Henry.
Duvernay is on a lot of waiver wires. I know that.
Yeah, for sure.
Scanling is on a few waiver wires.
Most
Uh,
definitely.
uh, Foreman is on a few waiver wires. Uh, Johnson is on a few waiver wires. Your
Mhm.
thoughts?
Yeah, I think all those guys should be on waiver wires. But as far as this week, Tyler Huntley, he has the Steelers 24th against the passing. You might be able to take a chance on Brock Purdy. I don't like the matchup though with Tampa Bay. As far as running backs go, you could go. Cam Akers already played. Tony Jones, as you mentioned, that defense is 21st overall. And then Jordan Mason, if you're a Christian McCaffrey owner, is handcuffed there. And then we have the Nico Collins against 14th defense. And check to see if Rondale Moore is available as well. Some leagues he's been dropped with.
Rondell's available in quite a few leagues, especially since Hollywood and what's the other guy?
DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, especially since both of them are now healthy. So Rondell's available in quite a few leagues. Uh, I tell you, I did forget, and we did mention Mostert, but what about Jeff Wilson?
Yeah, I like Jeff Wilson quite a bit. If he's available, definitely for sure get him. He might be the main running back there now, but yeah, if Wilson's available, for sure, he's a must grab. And then tight end Hunter Henry, if he's available, he has a really good matchup against Arizona, 32nd defense against tight end. So Hunter Henry makes a good pickup as well.
Okay, now I've been kind of struggling here because I'm one of those guys that I told you at the beginning of the year. Uh, there are certain leagues that I carry three quarterbacks, and one of those quarterbacks, usually my third string quarterback, has been Aaron Rodgers.
Hmm.
Now, my question is, with let's see, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4 games to go. Yeah, with 4 games to go against the Rams, the Dolphins, the Vikings, and the Lions.
Wow,
Should I drop him?
those are great matchups. All four of those are great matchups. Uh, well,
I mean,
yeah,
it's only 4 weeks. I mean, I can carry my one quarterback. I can carry Herbert or Allen or Mahomes. And don't really think about a second quarterback. Is this the time going into the playoffs that you should be like vesting those players that aren't really relevant. Like I said, uh, most leagues your playoffs are going to start in 2 weeks, right?
right.
So therefore I only need a quarterback up until probably the Dolphins or the Vikings. The last two games are going to be playoffs.
Mhm.
Am I going to take him into the playoffs, or am I going to take Josh Allen into the playoffs? Unless, of course, he gets, you know, and then you also have the problem of when you get down to the last 2 weeks of the season, whether or not teams are going to sit certain players or not.
Right. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, does your schedule, they go all 18 weeks?
No, it goes 16.
16? Um, yeah, I mean, I don't think you're going to play anybody over Josh Allen. So you could definitely drop him. I mean, regardless of the matchup, you're not going to start Aaron Rodgers over Josh Allen. But the question would be too is I would look at to see what the other teams that are especially playoff bound, what they have a quarterback, because you're if you're able to, you could keep Aaron Rodgers. If some team has their weakness at quarterback and sees that Aaron Rodgers has these matchups, they could probably bring on Aaron Rodgers, and then you don't want to be facing that
Right,
situation.
right. That's it. That's exactly what I'm at. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. But now I do have one league where my two quarterbacks are Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. Do I
Hmm.
keep them both?
I
Like
I
I
hope
I, I just gave you a Rodgers last 4 weeks,
right.
and Brady's last 4 weeks would be, let's see, um, let's see. Well, we already know he plays the 49ers. So his would be he actually has 5 games left. He has the 49ers, the Bengals, the Cardinals, and then the Panthers and the 49ers. I mean, and the Panthers and the Falcons. So his last 2 games, when I look at his last 3 games as compared to Aaron Rodgers' last 3 games, it would seem that Brady would put up the better numbers going against the Falcons and the Panthers.
Yes. Yeah. 49ers and well, not the 49ers, the
Well,
Falcons.
he plays the 49ers this week.
Yeah.
Then next week he plays the Bengals.
That's a tough matchup.
Right. But the last 3 weeks he plays the Cardinals, the Panthers, and the Falcons. All three of those
Yeah, all
games,
three
which
really good.
yeah, which all three he has a chance to win. And right now they are leading the what is it, the NFC South, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now they're 6-6.
Yeah. Um
So even if you would say that he would lose to the 49ers and the Bengals and come back for those last three, he still has a chance to end up 9-8.
yeah. Um
Whereas Rodgers, you know, uh, unless he runs the runs the table out, it would seem that okay, he's playing the Rams this week. Then the Dolphins will be a tough game. His last 3 games are all conference games. Well, his last two, the Vikings and the Lions. both of which they have they do have a chance of splitting, but they also have a chance of losing them both. So they could very well end up that right now they're 8-5. So he's much more likely to end up at 7-10 than Brady ending up at 9-8.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, especially with those matchups. Um, yeah. I would say hang on to both. They're both, you know, anywhere between 10 and 14 on most weeks. So if one goes down, you're not losing much traction on that loss. I don't know what your waiver wire has, but you don't want to ever try to lose someone that's top 10 to 14, because the waiver wire is usually filled with lesser options. So I would hang on to both.
I know we're a little over, but just one more question this week. I probably have a ton of them next week. But as I said, getting down, starting to get down into the playoffs, starting to trim the fat off your team and whatnot. So right now, going into these last few weeks of the season, what is the most important asset or ingredient to get your team into the playoffs? Not one and done. I'm talking about into the playoffs.
I would say depth is probably the most important. And having.
See, because of it's kind of like basketball. The one thing that infuriates me the most, and that they're going to do it, is when teams start to sit players.
Mhm, right.
Yeah, you know, you look on you look on and all these guys are healthy, but then when the line starts up, here's that string quarterback that that they have to look at before the playoffs. Here's that backup tight end that that they have to look at.
Yeah,
Man, it fucks up your fantasy
it does.
teams.
I've lost a couple playoff matches just because of those situations, and it's infuriating. It's yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I think depth is so important, is because you want, if you run into those situations, if you have good depth, then obviously you don't want to lose your starter, but at least you don't have nobody coming in for you. So I would, if anything, I would say depth.
Well, but even then, and I know that this is probably a bad example because a lot of people don't have this, but suppose you had Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor.
Hmm.
Well, Derrick Henry is like probably going to shut it down week 15. Uh, you know, uh, if not 16, or he's not going to be there for 17 if you go that far.
Right.
But probably week 16 he's not going to be playing. If you got Jonathan Taylor and they're that far out of the playoffs, he's probably not going to be playing. So you have two starting backs right there.
Yeah.
So I mean, do you now play uh, Hines? And uh, what's the quarterback for I mean not the quarterback, the fullback for the 49ers, Jersey.
Oh
You
yeah. Who's
get
that?
me?
Who's,
I mean,
who's that?
I've actually had situations last year where I had to pick him up because I didn't have a running back that week.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. That. Yeah. When you're in those situations, yeah, it's hard. It definitely. That's kind of where I was too. I had a guy that carried the ball 8 times. In one playoff, and it was just like, ugh.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, hey, give us your final thoughts, and let's get out of here. I know I kept you a little bit past, so
That
as
was all good.
always, appreciate your time, man, and I look forward. Have you decided what when our cutoff date is going to be, or are we going to leave that up to the fans next week? I'm thinking. Let's see. Next week is the 20. I mean, next week is the 16th. So I'm thinking that'll probably be our last show for this year, unless you want to do the 23rd.
Yeah, I'll get back to you. 16th or the 23rd sounds manageable. Either one. 16th. Yeah. Yeah, I'll get back to you for sure. I'll talk to my wife and see if she has any plans or what. But I'll get back to you before the end of this weekend.
Yeah, well, usually the 23rd and 24th. That's usually when I do my Christmas shopping, but that's another story. Uh, you know. Uh,
Oh yeah, I forgot about Christmas shopping.
see, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
So yeah, let's do the 16th. I totally forgot about Christmas shopping. Yeah, let's do that.
See, there
Yeah,
you go.
good lord, forgot about. Yeah, yeah, 16th sounds good. Let's do it then. That's an easy answer.
All right, man. Well, if you change your mind, let us know. And it's been a good time, man. You
Yeah,
have a
yes,
great
sir,
night,
for
a great
sure, for
weekend.
sure. Yeah, I wish you well, and look forward to next week. And I hope everybody out there has a great vacation holiday. And don't wait till the 24th like I'm doing, and maybe James as well. Yeah, but yeah, thank you very much for having this, and great talking to you as well, sir.
Hey, the only thing I can say is thank God for Amazon Prime, man.
Yeah, yeah, right.
have,
Uh,
have a good night. I'll see you next week.
yes, sir. Take care.
Yeah. And as for you, our audience, have a great night, a great weekend. Enjoy your sports over the weekend, and make sure you look out for us next week right here on And the Winners Are.